Hello, dear students. Welcome to my channel, English Classes by Ritu Agarwal. Today, we are starting with a poem, A Thing of Beauty. The poem written by John Keats, a beautiful romantic poet. It is from our book, Flamingo, Class 12th. So, let's begin the poem. A Thing of Beauty. Beauty which represents not only the beauty but beauty in any form, beauty of sun, moon, rivers, daffodils, sheep, cow, animals, and the poet reflects a beautiful moment of that beauty lies not only in the eyes of beholder but beauty lies in death. A Thing of Beauty by John Keats, a romantic poet who profounds and depicts the worshipping of beauty, the spirit of life, art, and beauty is eternal. There's a legend behind this poem. According to this legend, a Greek legend is there, and it happens to be the basis of a thing of beauty summary. There was a shepherd by the name of Endymion who had a vision of Cynthia, who was the moon goddess. This youth, they made a resolution to go after her and to seek her. The poet explains in the poem that how the creations of God provide happiness as well as energy. Beauty is heavenly. Beauty is a heavenly tonic. Beauty can come in various forms. Beauty gives us good health, it removes sadness, and it gives you an everlasting joy. So let's begin the poem. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness. So I have given you the line wise summary of the poem. Along with it, how beauty is explained in the poem. Beauty is a source of never ending joy. Anything which is giving you a joy, an imprint living on your mind, your body, and your soul, which will never fade away, is a thing of beauty. So, here the poet talks about that anything which is beautiful, it gives you an indelible mark on your mind, on your body, on your soul, and you relive the joyful experience of life. The joy increases, loveliness increases. So, this means that there is a multiplication of joy and the beauty will never pass into nothingness. That means it will never fade away, but it would always be there, and beautiful things are eternal in nature, but will keep a bower quiet for us. Here the poet talks about but will keep. This means that beauty will never go away. It would always be there in your mind. Talking about what is boer here? A boer talks means a shade of a tree, a shade of something where you relax, like a person with a scorching sun moving takes a shade of a tree. For us children, the shade of a mother. So, a boer and quiet, a metaphor being described as quiet, the calmness, is compared to the calming effect of a beautiful thing, and a sleep full of sweet dreams. Here, the memories of the beautiful objects comes in the form of sleep. The sleep are the sweet dreams which a person can sow when he relaxes under the shade of someone, where he can not only visualize his beautiful sweet dreams but the relaxation of peace and serenity is being described in the poem. The poem talks about how the source of peace and health and quiet breathing. Here, quiet breathing. Quiet breathing is that beautiful sight which acts as a nutrition. It gives you the relaxation and drives you from the aggression and restlessness. So, what is a thing of beauty? A thing of beauty is something which is giving you the multiplication of joy, never passing into nothingness, keeping on your mind, body, and soul, giving you the relaxation and moving you and driving you from the aggression and restlessness. It's a very beautiful example which is given by the poet here. The morrow here refers to morning or the next day. Reading means to encircle with something. And here, reading is encircling with a band of flowers like tiaras. A beautiful example telling you with the metaphor, the comparison which has been showed, that you bind yourselves to the earth. With the board point of view, this is a very important statement. It's a natural object which is seen in the form of a flowers. How do you feel that every day you get up with your new dreams, new aspirations of life, and you encircle yourselves with beautiful objects of life, making beautiful memories, and you support yourselves to the earth in a way like you are in class 12, getting up with real dreams, real observations, new dreams every day, and making your dream come true. This paragraph talks about the pains and sufferings in the poem. The whole of the paragraph talks about the pains and sufferings. Like despondence means loss of hope, dearth means shortage of something, noble natures, alliteration, noble souls, gloomy days, the sadness of life. Now, here the poet has given the three synonyms: despair, dejection, pessimism, talking about the negativity of life. The poet talks about the listing of the pains and sufferings in the poem, the human nature, talking about only and only the negative disparity of life, the gloomy days, the sad days, the troublesome days. And we are already shortage of the noble souls who not only talk about the optimistic nature of life, but they take you away from the negativity. The poet talks about that the darkened ways where the troubles and ignorance of life is seen and you are caught into the trap. You do not really want to find something. So the poet requests you to search yourself. See here it is written our searching. So what is our searching? Be away from the negative things of life. Move to the positivity of life. Now, the line talking about yes, in spite of all refers to moving away from the sadness and remorse of life and going into the life of positivity. And the pall refers to a thick shroud. So, when a person tries to move away from the negativity of life, he finds something which is positive in life. So, the beautiful object removes the cloud or curtain of darkness, and you can actually feel the positivity of life. The next, the poet talks about that apart from the pains and sufferings which are there in the poem, let's talk about how life is beautiful, where you can find the life as a beauty. The poet is talking about the sun. Sun, which is a form of a heavenly body, who is actually beautiful, giving you the vigorness of light. Moon, it's a symbolism of beauty. Trees, now trees, irrespective of the old, irrespective of the young, they are actually blessing you in every form, giving you the shade, giving you the fruits, giving you the objects, everything. So, sun, moon, trees are the examples of beauty. They sprout a shady boon to you. The poet then talks about the sheep. Now, here the poet actually tells you that Jesus Christ, the sheep, was an apostle of Jesus Christ. That is why simple sheep talks about the divine beauty. Now, how is the beauty divine? The sheep in any form can be divine. The divinity of life has been beautifully depicted. Moving forward, the poet talks about the beautiful flowers which are enchanted with the daffodils, the beautiful daffodils, sprouting daffodils, the greenery of the world. So, the greenery of the world refers to the prosperity of life, how life is prosperous. Then the poet talks about rills. Now, rills refers to the rivers and streams, talking about the struggles of life, the difficulties of life, and the cooling covert make. Cooling covert is an alliteration, and the satisfaction made by the poet talking that how a person who suffers and moves can move out to the objection of life. The mid forest brake, rich with a sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms, roses. Now, if you feel that in the thick forests, thickets, bushes, they are covered with the scented flowers. Now, these flowers have been sprinkled in the bushes, and these are the examples of none other than thing of beauty. A very important example shown by the poet talking about the pains and sufferings, the beautiful things of life. Here the poet talks about that how beauty also lies in death. So mighty dead. As it's written here, now what is an oxymoron? Mighty dead. The two contradictory words when put together are called as an oxymoron. Now, mighty is something which is great. Dead is means die. So, oxymoron put together. Now, here, grandeur respects to spectacular. Dooms respect to structures. We have imagined for the mighty dead. So, the poet talks that you have only listened about how these mighty dead people, the lovely tales we have only heard, we have only read. And reading about this lay, the spectacular death and the structures created on those death is also a thing of beauty. For example, India Gate is an example of a beautiful example of the dooms and structures created for the mighty dead. Then the poet talks about immortal drink. So be very careful. Immortal drink is basically the elixir of life. What is an elixir of life? Amrit. The Amrit of life. So where is Amrit? And heaven's brink, the corner of the heaven. It's an hyperbole talked about that fountain is endless and it gives you an pouring immortal drink, giving you an immortal elixir. And the poet refers to the right direction of heaven and it keeps on flowing and flowing. So the poem is talking about the poetic devices are here. If you see, we've already discussed all the poetic devices, and here is a metaphor: boa quiet, sweet dreams, reading a flowery band, Paul, endless fountain of immortal drink. Alliterations, noble natures, cooling covered, band to bind. The imageries are here, the transferred epithet and the oxymoron. Now, transferred epithet refers to when a noun has been replaced to a wrong adjective. This is all about a poem. Let's discuss a very short review of the poem. A thing of beauty is a joy forever, which pass into nothingness, but it would always be there, giving you an imprint on your mind, on your body, on your soul. And the list of the things of beauty which are mentioned in the poem, the pains and sufferings mentioned in the poem, as well as all the beautiful things can lead to not only beauty of beautiful things, but the beauty lies in the death. And there is an immortal drink, the elixir of life, which is flowing continuously from the heaven's brink. Apart from this, there are figure of speech. This is all about the poem. See you in my next poem. Thank you for then. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.